Hi, it's Chris, and I have an update. I know I have taken forever, but check this out. Look at this, guys. This is a miracle to me. I am 38 weeks, yes, 38 weeks today. And God healed my hemorrhage and the placental abruption so I had an appointment at 21 weeks with my MFM, or maternal fetal medicine doctor, and the hemorrhage had been measuring about 8 centimeters at that appointment. So it had shrunk a little bit, because I think before that it had been about 13 centimeters. I think that's the biggest it was. It seemed like for a long time, every week or 2 weeks when I would go in, it was just getting bigger a little bit. The doctor kept telling me, well, the baby's also getting bigger, so it's not as drastic as it seems like, but it is still growing. And so anyway, 21 weeks, it finally had shrunk a little bit. And I wasn't sure even that I really believed it. I thought maybe I had a different ultrasound tech that day and a couple other things, so I thought, oh, maybe it's not really shrinking and I'll go back and it'll be the same. So I honestly didn't get super excited at 21 weeks. But then 2 weeks later, at 23 weeks, the ultrasound tech, she's like, it's a different person again, not my normal one. And she's just looking around and she's like, I can't find a hemorrhage anywhere. And I'm like, what? And she looked for a long time, and she's like, yeah, there's no hemorrhage anymore. And then I was saying, what about the placenta? And she's like, it looks fine. I was like, what? So once again, I'm still in disbelief. I'm like, we've been strict bed rest for 3 months now, and it's been bad news, not, terrible news, but like basically same, maybe a little bit better in that it was like staying the same in comparison to the baby's growth or something. But like, I kept bracing myself, and then, yeah, she's like, I don't see anything. So then I met with the doctor afterwards, and she's like, yeah, it looks like you're healed up. It's gone. And I'm like, wow, okay. So they were going to recheck it in 2 weeks. So I still didn't really change much at that point. She said I could resume activities basically as comfortable at that point. And I was like, I don't know. I still didn't really believe it. So I wanted to wait till 25 weeks to really like see it confirmed again. And so 25 weeks comes around, still gone. Nothing. And that was with my normal ultrasound tech. So I was like, wow, we are okay. Baby's okay. We're at viability at that point, and it's gone. And the placenta was healed. So it was really exciting. The doctor said that he still wanted to follow up with me monthly just to check growth. The baby, he said, even though the placenta has reattached, he was saying it could possibly have some damage that would show up in growth restriction over time. So he still wanted to monitor for that. But then there was no growth restriction. So baby has been measuring like 70th percentile for weight, and his other measurements pretty much. So he's been doing great. I do apologize for the radio silence. I know that's nerve-wracking, especially if you were following along and you're hoping for a positive outcome too, and then you're not hearing anything. So pretty much right after 25 weeks, my husband got a job offer for a place out of state, a work out of state that's near our family. And honestly, it was like the stars all fell into place like timing wise, and we were like, you know what? I'm not on bed rest anymore, but we have a nanny, so like that we already, like God had already provided for us to be able to pay for her for the rest of the pregnancy if I needed to. And I was just like, this might be ideal, like, because I could be packing and we have a nanny. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to edit this video. Honestly, I just don't have time. But I will say that it's been a whirlwind last 3 months. The last 3 months of my pregnancy have gone by so quickly because we moved. And that's just another story of God providing so many things and making everything work out, and I just can't get over it. Like he really allowed it to be the least stressful move I've ever encountered in my life. And that's saying something because I'm a military brat. I moved 16 times while I was growing up. And it was so low stress, like everything. The job that my husband took, like they actually paid to do the like full service move, like where they pack your stuff. So all I had to do was organize beforehand and downsize a little bit. So like it was amazing. God, this whole pregnancy, I feel like God, it was so terrifying those 3 months. I'm not gonna lie, it was terrifying. It was hard because you just don't know. And we were sitting at 50-50 for a long time. And there was blood a lot. And you're like, is this it? Or is this just more blood? You know, like you just don't know. And, but I have to say, I can't get over how, like, our church praying for us, our friends praying for us, how God just made his presence so real walking through this pregnancy. Like he was near, and there were people brought into my life at just the right times who would speak just courage to me or just pray with me or cry with me, all those things. And I felt so close during that time. And it's amazing, since experiencing that healing of the hemorrhage, how it's really sad, but how quickly I can forget just where we came from. I identify so well with the Israelites in the Bible. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bible or not, but in the Old Testament, like, the Israelites were God's chosen people before Christ, and they were constantly forgetting God. Like, God would do these huge miracles, and then they would go and do their own thing, and they would forget God. They would start worshiping other gods, and then they'd end up in captivity because they no longer, it was just, there was all kinds of these things. But then God would still come back and save them. Like, he was faithful. They were always unfaithful. And I feel like there's a lot of, I've felt moments where I'm like, wait a minute, like, I'm taking for granted everything that God's accomplished already. Like, every little, because I don't know. This is an Ebenezer in my life, this baby being healed. Well, the baby was fine, but my hemorrhage being healed and this baby making it this far. So I'm always going to remember how God met me in this, but I do think there's still an element of forgetfulness that has crept in just these 3 months, where I'm taking it for granted, like realizing, like forgetting where I came from, where, you know, I'm crying at 10 weeks because I'm like, I'm losing this baby. I'm cramping, bleeding everywhere, and then go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, it's very likely you're losing this baby. And then baby made it so far. So I will say that there's this pregnancy, even knowing that everything's healed. I'm scheduled for induction next week, actually, at 39 and a day or something weeks. Because of the placenta history, they just want to monitor the labor. And it was okay with me because I have 3 other kids that have to have someone watch them. And for me, my labors when I've had all spontaneous labors with my previous 3, but I've had lots of false labor as well for like 2 to 4 weeks before they actually decide to be the real deal, and it feels so convincing, and it's worse every time. So like my daughter, I actually did have a false alarm trip to the hospital, even though she was my 3rd baby. I should know when I'm in labor, but I thought I was in labor, but I was not, I guess. So yeah, so with her, like, and my last one, when we actually went to the hospital and it was the real deal, I was in enough pain, like, by the time I made the decision, that I was like about ready for that epidural. So I was 6 centimeters each time by the time I got to the hospital. And yeah, so here we're about an hour and 15 from his family. So I don't want to wait till the last minute. I mean, I want to wait till the last minute to go to the hospital, if it's spontaneous, but I also realize his family might not get here in time if I do that. So induction sounds great. That's all I'm saying. Induction sounds good to me. And so I didn't even really fight that, because I'm sure that they probably would have let me go spontaneously if I had wanted to, because the baby is looking great. He doesn't have growth restriction, and everything is on ultrasound healed up. So I guess there's a slight higher chance that you might have an abrupted placenta during labor, even after it healing. So that's the main reason. But I was just like, you know what, 39 weeks, sure. I like the idea of having a scheduled labor. But I know there's lots of people that feel differently, and that's fine. I know that other people have different reasons. I know lots of people don't use epidurals. People don't do inductions. All that power to you. There's nothing wrong with, I'm totally fine with that if that's how you feel. For me, I'm okay with it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my update. I am sorry if this is rambly, but I didn't want to leave anyone else hanging some more. I can't believe it. I'm praising God. I can't wait to hold this baby in my arms and see him. Yeah, at around 12 weeks, I drew a picture of something that, like, God had given me a picture in my head of, like, giving him my baby, giving Jesus my baby, because I felt like that's what he wanted me to do, and I was like fighting it at that time when I found out that he was still alive, but I didn't know if he was going to make it. I was like clenching my fists. I'm like, absolutely not, God. Like, you got to save this child. But I kept feeling like he wanted me to open my hands and just like surrender my baby to Jesus. Surrender my baby to Jesus and entrust my baby to Jesus, because the doctors were telling me, like, there's nothing they can do. The best doctors, I was seeing specialists, people who've been doing this for years and years, and there's nothing they can do. Like, it's just a waiting game. You just have to wait. The only person who has any control in this is God. Like, I can do all the bed rest and I can still lose the baby. I can take the supplement, the alpha lipoic acid, 600 milligrams a day, and progesterone 200 milligrams vaginally a day. But people do that all the time and they still lose the children. The only person who has any control and knows what's best is God. But it's so hard to just release, to just let go and hand your baby to God out of your control, which it's not like I had any control to begin with. I'm just faking myself out that I had control. But I was just clenching those fists. I didn't want to do it, but I felt like he wanted me to do that. So I had done a picture of that, of my husband and I handing over our baby in the womb to Jesus. And so I am so excited. so excited for this baby to be born and to be able to hold him in my arms and see what God has done, like that he preserved this little boy. And for all of you that are watching this video, I don't know what the outcome is for you. I'm guessing if you're looking at this video, you're probably going through some of the hardest times of your life, and you're having to grapple with that, like that loss of control, and realizing I don't have any control over whether my body fails this baby or not. And that you're sitting in that. And all I can say is give him to the only physician that can do anything and has any control. Give him to Jesus. It's probably going to be an hour by hour release. Like I definitely just kept having to do that. Day by day, hour by hour. I kept seeing, oh, my fists are clenched again. God. I have no one else to go to. I have no one else to give this baby to. You are the only one. With all the medical help in the world, you're the only one who can do anything. So I give him to you. And I will say that, like, another thing that really stuck out to me was my mother-in-law reminded me, because when this all happened, I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know what to say to God, because he does sometimes, babies, I don't understand it, and no one ever will, but sometimes God takes babies home to be with him and doesn't let them live earthside. And it's just a reality, and I knew that was a possibility, so I just didn't even know where to pray. Like, should I pray and ask for what I want in this case? Maybe it's not the best thing. And my mother-in-law, she just told me, you know what, Christiana, even Jesus himself, in the Garden of Gethsemane, before he gave himself up for us, like, he even prayed to God, Lord, if this cup could pass from me, you know, but not my will, but yours. But he still asked that, if possible, that the cup passed from before him, whatever. He still said, if there's any other way, God, do that, you know. But he was willing, and what it told us was that there was no other way. God, this was the way that God chose to save us, through Jesus. But anyway, Jesus was willing to ask for what he wanted, and so we can do that too. And so that's what I'm going to tell you too. Pray for what you want. Pray. Ask God for what you want. Beg him for this baby that is in your womb. And I say, tell people, get a support network. Tell people what's going on. If you lose the baby, to me, having people pray for me either way was going to be huge. Like, if I lost this baby, I wanted people praying for me so that I could get through it. And I wanted people that I could cry with. This baby was real to me and is real to me, and I definitely wanted to know that that I had people interceding on the behalf of my baby and on my behalf, no matter what the outcome was. And I updated people constantly on my doctor's appointments. Everyone's different, I get it, but I can't imagine suffering alone. And I definitely felt people praying for me. I felt it. I felt God carrying me through this. Like I said, there were so many moments, just little moments during the day or whatever, where it just, things happened that told me, like God was telling me, I see you, Christiana. I am with you in this. I am walking through this with you. He wasn't telling me what he was going to do, and he didn't give me any promises in those times, except that he was going to be with me. And that's the promise that I held on to, that God is with me in this. No matter what happens, God's going to walk this road with me. So that is what I want to share with you, that God's going to walk this road with you if you're his child. And so that's what I tell you. Just as hard as it is, surrender your baby hourly, daily. Give him over to God. God's the only one who can do anything either way for your baby. And then surrender yourself too. It can be ugly. Shout at God. Cry at God. Be angry with him. He's not afraid of those things. He won't smite you. But he will meet you there. And he does comfort. His comfort is real. And that's what I felt throughout. That was the one thing that I was so thankful for. Because even when I was in that awful time, I felt his comfort. And it reassured my heart that if I lose this baby, I trusted that he was still going to comfort me in that too. So please, that's what I say. Give your baby to God. Give yourself to God. Allow him to walk with you through this. And surround yourself with prayer. Pray, but sometimes you don't feel like you can pray. So surround yourself with people that are informed, that can pray on your behalf. Because sometimes you're mad, and sometimes you are too sad or just numb to pray. And yeah, thank you for watching. Sorry, I'm a rambler, but I wanted to share my update that this huge baby is still kicking all the time. And he's coming out next week, Lord willing. If you happen to watch this before he's out, prayers are appreciated. I love prayers. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Yeah, bye.